A Cecily Brown painting was sold during the week for $5.5 million at an online art auction. Oh, wow, you can buy a lot of mighty munches with that. Who is Cecily Brown, though, you may ask? Well, Cecily Brown is one of the most important painters today, and the painting that was sold for that huge amount of money is titled Figures in a Landscape 1. It has actually been around for almost 2 decades and is a large-scale work that was immediately recognized as a major work in modern art, which built on historical consciousness of forms initiated by such greats as Willem de Kooning and other abstract expressionists, as well as historical painters of the 19th century, especially in terms of composition and so on. If you want to have a look at this painting, it's phenomenal. And you can really get lost in its depiction of energy, sexuality, human flesh, abstract shapes, and just barely perceptible narratives. It's also unique. As a side note, my love of Cecily Brown extends beyond her work. I am mesmerized by her knowledge of art and her ability to communicate her knowledge of art history and the processes of art making, not only via her paintings, but also via talks that she does in a very enthusiastic way. I mean, she's my kind of people, you know. In fact, I think I may be in love. Nonetheless, as expected, people were annoyed about this sale, that her painting was sold for such a huge sum of money. Possibly also because she's a woman. And we sometimes forget that acclaimed women painters, aside from Frida and a few others, are few and far in between among the celebrated artists in history. In fact, it's only now that we're recognizing that women can have just as big a say in the art world as men. And the fact that we're only coming around to that fact is shocking. I think, however, that people being outraged at this whole thing is just part of the whole thing about people struggling to understand the value of art. And this is not helped by the fact that essentially the art world itself is very competitive, and the people who are not at the top of it are very jealous of the people who are. Even within art journalism and criticism, it can be pretty vicious, trust me. But the criticism that I saw that really stood out to me was that which came from the artists themselves, who said things along the lines of, I sell my works for much less than artsy, and I'm so happy about that. And others who pointed out that she is the daughter of an influential art critic, and she's actually married to an influential art critic. So, of course, that criticism will always be there. And any of you who expect me to join into that chatter, well, no chance. If Cecily Brown's father was able to communicate a passion for the arts to her daughter and empower her to the point that she went on to do her own amazing works, that's just great parenting. And yes, he may have had those connections that may have made her rise to the top easier. But that's only because some people need to take time to learn how processes and things operate within a specific sector of production. I mean, like anything, these things take time. And if you can build off of the past experiences of a person close to you, like your own father, that's always going to help. But it also ultimately is up to the individual to be able to use them correctly. All of that knowledge, all of those connections. I mean, if she made works that were no good, then that would be even more of a fiasco. Not to mention that when it comes to nepotism, I'm far more annoyed with those who are wealthy and who use their wealth and connections to do things like start makeup or fashion companies that build their wealth off the backs of exploited workers in the third world and abused animals in cages. You know what I mean. And this again is without taking into consideration the simple fact that Cecily Brown is great, that she has learnt the lesson from past masters, as well as used her own genius to create works that will still be discussed centuries from now. In fact, works that will hopefully be talked about centuries from now more than people talk about them today.